How many people saw this headline? In 2016, the Dakota Access Pipeline Company moved bulldozers miles away, practically overnight, to the exact site the Lakota Sioux had given court in an ongoing trial. And after hundreds of years of destruction of Native people and their culture, this still wasn't illegal. Because in our system, legal doesn't mean moral. That's how we know it's time to change the system. This is corporate socialism. When factories pollute and pipelines leak, the community is the one that pays the full cost, not the corporation. We need to design a new system, one that looks at the bigger picture, not just the profit line on some company's accounting book. My name is Jake Tonkel, and I'm an NLC Silicon Valley Fellow this year, 2019, and I was inspired by the indigenous leaders at Standing Rock to join the divestment movement. A movement that has major momentum, trillions of dollars divested, individuals, faith groups, universities, NGOs, all pulling their money out. But when it came to our largest cities, they were stuck. They moved from Wells Fargo to Bank of America to JP Morgan Chase. Our solution? Create a network of public banks, owned and operated by these local governments themselves, not shareholders or boards of directors, but banks that are accountable to the entire community, that can put people over profit. Imagine Wells Fargo, a major investor in the Dakota Access Pipeline Company, with a Lakota Sioux member on their board, required to calculate the entire cost of the contaminated water for tens of thousands of people downstream. Would they still make that same investment? What might they invest in instead? Affordable housing, healthcare, education, public infrastructure. It's time we start to invest in the world we want to see, because if we don't, we end up right here in 2019, where people of color are still twice as likely to be rejected for a home loan, where women-led businesses are awarded just one of every $23 available, and our undocumented community members are forced into payday lender traps just to cash their paychecks. We need to put democracy into our finance system, because if you aren't at the table, you're on the menu. And a network of socially responsible public banks might just be the intersectional solution that we've needed. And it's not new. All over the world, from Brazil to Russia to Germany to China, they have public banks financing their transitions to renewable energy, building affordable housing during urbanization. And even in the United States, we have one bank here. The State Bank of North Dakota is 100 years old and is one of the most stable banks in the country because it invests locally. In 2018, we had 13 other states introduce legislation. And this gives us the opportunity to fundamentally change the way our finance system works, from the greed that collapsed the global economy in 2008, that put an entire generation in endless debt, to one that finances endless war, a prison industrial complex, and the destruction of our global ecosystem, to a system that can put people first, that works for us, not for Wall Street. In 2017, the Dakota Access Pipeline was completed, despite best efforts, and had 5 spills in the first 6 months of operation. But to Wells Fargo, it was still a good investment, because the community picked up the tab. These banks, they're not perfect. They're still going to need us to hold them accountable, but we really think they offer a piece of the solution. And with our indigenous communities on the front lines of many of these battles, fighting for their homes, their histories, and their livelihood, what we have is not fair. So let's change how we calculate profit.